What are the biggest matchups between the Eagles and Lions? What are the top storylines? Who are the players to watch week 1 of the NFL? All that and more on the latest Party on Broad. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, we are breaking down the Eagles versus Lions and heading into enemy territory. If you're watching us live, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button. If you love NFL football, joining me, my man, Rob Lange at Philly_Madness as always. What is up, Rob?
Man, I'm just glad we're here. Glad we're here. The season's back. I got one game on the TV right here, and I'm talking about the game that our viewers and, our boy Malcolm's viewers are most interested in this week, and that's the Eagles and the Lions. So just pumped that week 1 is here.
Love it, man. I'm just so ready. It's almost Friday if you're watching us here on Thursday. Sunday could not come here quick enough. And we've got a special guest, Malcolm of the Pride Podcast, which is a Detroit Lions podcast. Please be sure to go check them out. What is going on, Malcolm? Thanks for joining, man.
Woo! What is going on, man? Yo, guys, thank you for having me on, man. Yo, that was like an introduction. That was an intro. Like, I love it. Like, that was hype. Like, I felt like one of those wrestlers, like about to just come out and just about to wrestle and just put on some, about to fight. Like, that was awesome, man.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. Tell us a little bit about your podcast, man. Where can we find you? Like, what do you got going on over there?
Yeah, so we're not on like video or like YouTube and stuff like that, but we're like everywhere else. So like Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen to like podcasts, we're there. It's the Pride Podcast, a Detroit Lions podcast.
Love it. Please be sure to go check them out on Twitter, especially at Pride Podcast. Let's jump right in. Let's not waste any time. First question up of the day. This is yours, Malcolm. You lead us off. What's the biggest storyline for the Detroit Lions heading into week 1?
I mean, other than the Hard Knock series that everybody pretty much watched, that was pretty awesome. I'm pretty sure you guys watched it. But right now, what's going on with Detroit is our offensive line. We actually have an injury in our offensive line. Halapute Vaitai, I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar. You got pretty much familiar with Halapute. Yeah, Big V, Halapute Vaitai. He's hurt right now. So they're right now in the midst of trying to shuffle the offensive line to get the right combination in there. So right now it's a mystery for everybody. Nobody knows who's going to be the 5 starting offensive linemen out there. I mean, we do know Penei Sewell, Taylor Decker, our tackles are going to be out there. But they don't know. As far as the interior, we don't know what's going to happen because they're talking about shuffling people. They don't know if they're going to use their backups. We don't know. So that's like probably the biggest story right now.
Love it. And what about you, Rob? What do you think? Because we already talked about the Eagles side. Let's talk about the Lions.
Okay. So I think for the Lions is, are they going to take that next step, right? Like last year was not a great year for them, but they have talent. There's talent on this roster. And it starts, Jared Goff is not just like a terrible quarterback. Jared Goff is a guy that I think can still be successful. He's not going to ever live up to the number 1 pick hype at this point. I mean, it's just the same thing that happened to Carson Wentz in that same draft, right? But, I mean, you're talking about DeAndre Swift as a potential breakout running back. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown, I can't say his name, but it's okay.
You said his name. You did good.
That was good.
Yeah, that was perfect.
All right, perfect. I mean, I think this kid is a stud in the making. You figure by, maybe midway through the season, they then add Jamison Williams into that mix on offense too. So they're skilled players there. TJ Hawkinson is a tight end. Where does their defense go? They add Hutchinson. That's going to be big for them. But are they going to be able to create enough havoc with their defense to stay in games, or are they going to have to score a lot of points? But to me, this year isn't necessarily about Detroit becoming a Super Bowl contender. It's about being a successful above 500 team, maybe, fighting in an NFC North that I think is kind of up for grabs this year because of the way it's playing out. I mean, Green Bay is pretty good. But for me, is this the first step in the next step for the Detroit Lions here on Sunday?
For me, it's got to be that Lions offense, because I look at the Eagles offense versus the Lions defense, and we're going to get into that, especially matchups and breaking that all down. But for me, it's Jared Goff. It's can Jared Goff get the ball, move the ball downfield, something he's really struggled with last year. He ended the last season really well, ended it very strong. But I don't see any way the Eagles don't sniff around 30 points in this one. Can the Lions offense, can Jared Goff keep up with the Eagles offense? That's the biggest storyline, at least on my end. Any reaction to that, Malcolm? Any quick thoughts?
I'm just going to say this, man. I think our defense is a little bit underrated. And then the reason why I say that is because we have a lot of question marks. A lot of young pieces there, a lot of question marks. They brought in a lot of people. Like, as far as, our number 2 overall pick, Aiden Hutchinson. They're expecting him to be a guy that's going to make other people better. Last year, we didn't have that guy that's that could kind of get to the backfield or, get that pressure on that quarterback. This year, we're hoping that Aiden Hutchinson can draw some double teams and make things easier for the other guys on the defensive line. So if he gets things rolling, I think a lot of people gets better. So that's one question mark. And how are we going to be able to put pressure on the quarterbacks? Another question we have is how's our secondary going? Because we have a lot of young pieces back there. We got Jeff Okudah, who's come back off Achilles injuries. Amani Warrior, he plays solid, but he's not really that true number 1 corner. But how are they going to play? So we just have a lot of question marks. I think the key right now is our defensive coordinator, Eric Glenn. Eric Glenn, even though if you look at it statistically, we weren't really great last year. He had those guys playing at a very high level, and is what they say a lot in Detroit is, they're a gritty team that always going to fight, always going to crawl, try to, they're going to battle, so they're going to give it their all. They're going to give it 110% every play. So that's the type of team they are. So I want to be shocked that their defense is a little bit better than everybody's expecting them to be.
There's some interesting parallels between the Lions and the Eagles, because you start at quarterback. I'm not comparing Jared Goff to Jalen Hurts, but both guys, you look at Jared Goff, he's in a contract year. This is it. He's got to produce. And the Lions have pieces. They got a solid offensive line. They got some weapons at the skill positions. Then you go to Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff, and their struggles to attack that intermediate to downfield area of the football field. And on the other end, there's another guy, just like you said, as a defensive coordinator. Jonathan Gannon's on the hot seat. Talk about pieces put on the table. It's now up to Jonathan Gannon to put them together and be an elite defense. Their excuses were made last year. They didn't have that personnel. So kind of similar parallels there. Let's roll into Malcolm, this question. What's one area the Lions have a key advantage over the Eagles in week 1?
Oh shoot, a key an area that we have an advantage over you guys?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say this. All right, I'm just gonna throw a curveball. Okay, I don't think on paper we don't have an advantage over you guys. You guys, as far as team wise, you guys are better than us. Okay, what I think the Lions could do though, to take advantage of, offensively, what we could do to take advantage of Philadelphia's defense and probably get some of our skill position guys in mismatches. Like, for example, DeAndre Swift, who's our running back, but you put him in, put him out wide, he's a mismatch against those linebackers and safeties. So if you try to get him in space against those linebackers and safeties, I think they could use that. TJ Hawkinson, our tight end, is another guy. You get him a mixed match with those linebackers and safeties, maybe you could create something. So I think, in that route, you can do something there.
Love it. Monte Brown is definitely a guy that, he can play the slot. He can play on the outside. He can, take some balls in the backfield, direct snaps. Like he's one of those guys that I think are like one of the wild cards of this game. Like I expect the Lions to kind of throw the kitchen sink at the Eagles, especially from the jump, and kind of catch them off guard because it's week 1. Like I'm sure the Lions, I didn't look at the snap counts, but I'm plenty positive that Lions starters played a good deal more in the preseason than the Eagles starters. So there's a lot of it's week 1. Anything can happen. Anything can happen.
I don't know, man. It's Jared Goff when he played the first series of the week 1.
That's it.
That was it.
That's it.
But that was it. But that was
Oh
it.
Wow.
Yeah, he played the first series. He drove them downfield, got a touchdown, and that's all we saw from Jared Goff.
Get out. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, just like you guys. I mean, Jared, I watched you guys. Hurts went 6 for 6 and scored a touchdown, and that was it for him. It's very similar situation for us. I think Jared Goff went 7 for 8. One pass got dropped. It just got dropped. It was wide open pass that got dropped by our running back, Williams. So he dropped the pass, but they run down the field, score a touchdown, and that's all we saw from Jared Goff. So, yeah, he's pretty much fresh too.
Rob, do you have any areas the Lions have an advantage over the Eagles?
It kind of goes that even if they didn't play more in the games, I believe that Detroit had a much more physical training camp, and I'm not saying that that's going to be like an all-year advantage, but in week 1, if your bodies are more prepared to be in a physical battle, I think that's an advantage, and I think that Detroit has that advantage. Look, there's a million different thought processes on how training camps are run now. A lot of coaches are doing it Nick Sirianni's way, and it's very little hitting, if any at all. But there's still some guys like Dan Campbell and the old school mindset. Now we're going to put the pads on, we're going to buckle up the chin straps, and we're going to go at it. So, I mean, I think that from that standpoint, Detroit did a lot more of that than the Eagles did, which may, whether it's, tackling better, less sloppy play, who knows? But I think that could be an advantage for Detroit in this one.
Yep. Let's go to the other end, an area the Eagles have over the Lions. Let's go in reverse. I'll lead us off. For me, you already touched on it, Malcolm. It's the A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert trio against the Lions' defensive backfield and the linebackers. I don't know how the Lions linebackers are going to slow down Dallas Goedert. When you have the gravity of a A.J. Brown on the outside and Devontae Smith going against your CB2s and slot defenders, that leaves the middle of the field wide open for Dallas Goedert. So I think this all projects towards a huge day for Goedert, as we'll talk about later. But that's got to be one of the biggest areas here. I think the Eagles have a huge advantage there. What about you, Rob?
It's funny when we did our NFC's preview and we would have guys come on from other teams, we'd all talk about where the Eagles have one advantage. I think I said the same thing every one of those, and I'm going to say it again here. To me, it's line play. I think Eagles. I will consistently say this. Don't prove it wrong. I believe the Eagles have the best offensive line in football. I think when you take a center like Jason Kelce and his leadership, when you have the bookends of Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, and when you talk about the left side of that line being this monster and Jordan Mailata next to, oh, by the way, this monster and Landon Dickerson, I think that the offensive line, and then when you look at the depth of the middle of the Eagles defensive line, and what their ends bring, what Brandon Graham brings, Josh Sweat brings, these guys bring a lot of different things. I think overall that the line play is where the Eagles, and look, games are won in the trenches, so the Eagles are going to have to dominate in those two areas to come out of week 1 with a victory. Week 1 has not been the most pleasant week for Philadelphia in the past, and I don't know why that is, but I do believe they have the advantage in the line play, and that would be what propels them, I think, to victory.
What about you, Malcolm?
That's very interesting. I mean, I'm going to say this, man, because, if you look back at what Philadelphia did to Detroit last time they played them, like you said, everything you said, they did. They dominated in the trenches, and then they just got the running game going. If that would have happened 2 times in a row, I would really question this coaching staff. I'm pretty sure they know what they did to them last time. So they're going to get these guys ready. Like, look, they won last time. Like, the trenches, they won, okay? We're not going to let them do that again. So they really have to stop the running game and pretty much win that battle up front. Because if they don't, because they pretty much know Philadelphia's going to do it. Because Philadelphia just had so much success last time doing it. It's like pretty much a given. Like, all right, they already know how easy it was last time in the trenches to run that football. They're going to do it again. So Detroit has to be more prepared for that. So I just don't expect them to just, have it as easy as they did last time.
Yeah, the Eagles ran for like 200 plus yards in that
They did.
game. Is this a revenge game for the Lions at all? Like, what's your vibe? What's the vibe down in Detroit? Like, is that a thing?
As me as a fan, the way I'm looking at this game is, I just want to see how they perform. I mean, I have a lot of respect for the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is a very talented roster, from top to bottom. You're looking at the offense and defense. So, like you said, as a Philadelphia fan, you guys said that the Eagles have the top offensive line. So the way I feel as a Lions fan is if we're able to put pressure on Jalen Hurts with you guys having the top offensive line, that's going to say a lot for our young pass rush that we have in the future. So that's going to be something to look at a positive. And I think it's the other way around too. I think on the defensive side of the ball, well, I'm sorry, on the offensive side of the ball, if we're able to keep Jared Goff clean with your pass rush, I think it's the same thing. So it'll be a positive for Detroit on that end. So that's what I'm just looking for. I'm just looking to see how that battle in the trenches is. That's pretty much what I'm looking for.
Yeah. Love it. We have Jay Taco in the house. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining. Let's roll on to our next question of the night. Favorite matchups to watch between the Eagles and Lions. Lead us off, Malcolm. Who are you watching? What matchups are you watching on Sunday?
I just talked about it, man. This is trenches, man. I mean, if I look at as far as a group, it'll be the trenches, the offensive line versus the defensive line, and that's go for both sides of the ball. I just want to see how we stack up against that Philadelphia Eagles, the front. I mean, I think you guys are great on both sides of the ball, whether it's the offense or defensive line. So I just want to see how we fare up with you guys up there.
The one I'm most excited about is Aiden Hutchinson versus Jordan Mailata. That's going to be an amazing battle. Jordan Mailata needs to improve his pass protection, but he's like on the verge of becoming, if not already, a top 5 left tackle in football. The dude has made tremendous strides. What about you, Rob?
Eagles linebackers versus DeAndre Swift and TJ Hockenson. We talked about it earlier. This is the first year, I think, as an Eagles fan since, I don't know, I was like 5, that I went, not that long ago, but that I went into a year and was like actually excited to see the linebacker play because they've made so many moves in that area. And you talk about Hassan Reddick and Kaiser White, and then TJ Edwards is another year older, and then Nakobe Dean's going to play. You don't know how much, but Nakobe Dean's going to play. How do these guys do against? I think they're tested pretty early. I think TJ Hockenson is a top of the league tight end, and I think DeAndre Swift is a really athletic guy. And I know he hasn't put it all together, but Deuce Staley's in his ass now. And if we know anything, Deuce Staley is a hell of a coach and is going to get the best out of players that you can possibly get. So I'm very curious to see how the Eagles linebackers handle them, because I do think if the Eagles linebackers can kind of keep them settled down, I think that weighs really big for the Eagles to come out with a W on Sunday. I think that's it's a danger area, and I think part of that's maybe just we just feel it from every other year and our linebackers being terrible. But I think that's going to be crucial.
The one I'm really interested as well is Jordan Davis versus Frank Ragnow. Jordan Davis, Malcolm, has been kind of the darling in Philly over the last month or two. Great dude, hard worker, just a bowling ball, a wrecking ball in the middle of this defensive line. And he's made some really interesting strides during preseason, during joint practices and things like that. So I'm really interested to see how that looks.
Tell me about him. That dude is a monster, man. From Georgia, man. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I wanted him so bad, but we weren't in position to get him. But I really wanted Jordan Davis, man. That dude's gonna be an animal. I think me and my other co-host Tyler talk about this all the time. I think by week 15, week 16, a lot of the NFL teams are gonna look back at that draft and say, how did Jordan Davis fall that far?
Yeah, how many snaps he gets week 1 is going to be really interesting. That's definitely something to watch. Let's move on to our next one. Lead us off, Rob. Who is the biggest X factor, underrated key player to watch between the Eagles and Lions week 1?
Oh man, just one. Honestly, I think the quarterback position on both sides. Because for me, I want to see Jalen Hurts throw the ball in this game. I know how they beat them the last time. I get that. But like Malcolm said, this coaching staff knows that, and they're not going to allow that again. I want Jalen Hurts to beat the Lions with his arm. I want him to make good decisions. I want him to go through his progressions, not just funnel in on one guy all the time. And then Jared Goff, look, last year the big issue with the Eagles defense was they allowed quarterbacks to just go dink and dunk on them all the way down the field. Jonathan Gannon, we were told if he had the right pieces, was not going to do that. So is Jared Goff able to do that? That's going to be key to me. For me, whatever quarterback plays better, I think is the quarterback of the winning team.
Yeah. If you don't see Jonathan Gannon immediately, first quarter, putting pressure on Jared Goff, I'm going to be pretty upset. That was the kind of the trend, Malcolm, was Gannon played his corners way too far off the line of scrimmage over and over and over again. This is the year that we were, but before last year, we were told we were going to see a lot more stunts. We're going to see a lot more, blitzing and all that kind of stuff. The personnel was not there. It's there this year, especially with Jordan Davis and how that's going to open up a ton for our edge rushers. So that's going to be a problem. If we see the same kind of defense we saw in 21, that's a big problem. What about you, Malcolm? Who's your X factor?
So I'm gonna give one for Philly and one for Detroit. Sure. I'm gonna go with the same one you said, man. I think Jalen Hurts is an X factor for you guys. Depending how he plays, because everybody's expecting Jalen Hurts to take this leap, and I think right now he has all the tools and everything built around him to take that leap to be that quarterback for you guys. So, me just like everybody else want to see is he gonna take that leap. So I think he's an X factor for you guys because if he plays where he takes that leap, now it's okay, now Philadelphia is who we think they are. Now they're those contenders who we think can be the Super Bowl contenders, if Jalen Hurts takes that leap. So yeah, I have him as my X factor. As far as for Detroit, just to get through this game, I think it's going to be DeAndre Swift. I'm actually going to say the whole running back group. So DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams, and whoever the hell else they're going to have running that damn ball. I think that if we can get some type of running game going, which is going to be really, 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 really tough and hard to do against Philadelphia. I'm not expecting it to really happen, but if for some reason DeAndre Swift gets 100 yards this game, I think we might have a closer chance to win this game than anybody think that we do. So I'm going that route. I think DeAndre Swift is that factor.
Love it. I like the pick of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in this one. The guy has a lot of versatility. He's a great slot defender. He's going to be getting snaps at safety. How he, like you said, you got some versatile weapons in St. Brown, DeAndre Swift. Those guys can hurt you in many different ways. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's a guy that's going to be playing all over the field and probably spying a lot of those guys constantly. So that's a guy to keep an eye on for sure. Another guy I was looking at for the Eagles was Kenny Gainwell, but it looks like Miles Sanders is back and ready to go. So that has changed over the last week or so. Moving on. I'm not a Miles Sanders guy. I like Kenny Gainwell a lot more. All right, this one's for you, Malcolm. The Lions win week 1 because
I think that we would just have a better game plan than you guys. I think it's going to really boil down to the coaching staff. Because on paper, you look at week 1, the only thing that you could really go by is off paper. On paper, you got better than us. I mean, like I said, it is what it is. You got better than us on paper. But if our coaching staff, which I actually have a high belief in this coaching staff. I love our coaching staff from top to bottom, head coach, offensive coordinator, defense coordinator. I love those guys. I think they're doing a really, really, really great job in Detroit. That's why a lot of the fans of Detroit are really optimistic, going forward. It's because it's coaching staff. And a lot of people watch Hard Knocks, you'll see why. Those guys are just full of energy. The players love them. The fans love them. So if we're able to put a better game plan than you guys, and yeah, I think if we were able to put a better game plan than you guys, and maybe Philadelphia's game plan just doesn't work. Maybe I don't know. I think we could win this game.
By the way, Deuce Staley is a huge fan favorite here. Huge fan. Everyone loves him. Everyone loves him. Everyone was sad to see him go.
He's awesome, man. I think we may lose him soon. I think he has a head coaching opportunity.
He deserves a shot.
Yeah.
Man, and he's deserved it for a while, and it was whatever the reason they weren't giving it to him here. But I'd love to see him get a chance here soon.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we have some type of success, like as a team. I can see it. He's gonna be gone. Our defense coordinator's gonna be gone. Because those guys are really great, man.
Yeah.
That's how basically it is for Jonathan Gannon. Either he sucks, the defense sucks, he's gone, and they move on, or the defense is great and Jonathan Gannon becomes a head coach somewhere. So he's definitely last year in Philadelphia. Rob, the Lions win week 1 because
Jonathan Gannon. Honestly, like to me, the Lions win if Jonathan Gannon's defense is no different than what it was last year.
Yeah.
So like if Jonathan Gannon comes out and has the corners 10 yards off of these guys and is just letting them dink and dunk down the field and hit DeAndre Swift, and TJ Hawkinson underneath and all that stuff, now you're putting pressure on an offense that I know should be better, but they're going to be even that much better if they can play freely because the defense is doing what they need to do. If the defense does not come out with a game plan to do what they need to do and they're not getting pressure and the front seven isn't getting in on Jared Goff, I think the Lions can win the game.
Dude, that's literally what I have here. The Lions win week 1 because Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, and Penei Sewell are able to keep the Eagles' pass rush in check. That's my take. I think Penei Sewell's an up-and-coming offensive tackle in this league. How he matches up with Brandon Graham is going to be a lot of fun to watch as well. But that's it. The Eagles have a good pass rush win rate, but they have a history going back the last couple of years of just not getting home. Their sack percentage was among the worst in the NFL last year. They brought all these pieces in, like Hassan Reddick and Jordan Davis, to put a lot more pressure on the quarterback. And if that doesn't translate, we've got big problems. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's go in reverse. The Eagles win week 1. I'm just going to lead us off. I think if Jalen Hurts limits the turnovers, if Jalen Hurts out there and plays efficient football, gets the ball out fast, limits turnovers, I think the Eagles have more than decent enough chance to win this game. What about you, Rob?
I think the Eagles win this game if they come out and play the way they should. I mean, honestly, I know that sounds really stupid, but I like they're the better team. They are the better team, right? They've been together. They're a cohesive unit. They exceeded expectations last year, and all they did this offseason was improve in the areas that were pretty weak for them last year. So you need to come out and look, I don't need them to come out and win 40, whatever they won last year. Like, it doesn't need to be that game. And frankly, I don't expect it to be that game. I expect it to be much, much closer. It's week 1. That first quarter for both teams could get ugly in the first game of the season. I mean, if you watch the first quarter tonight, you had a great one drive and then you had nothing for a quarter and a half up until recently. It just happens, even with the best teams in the league. It just happens. So if the Eagles do what they should, which is they're not complacent on defense, offensively they get themselves into a rhythm. They get Jalen Hurts into a rhythm. They should win this game, and I think it's just that simple for this week.
What about you, Malcolm?
I was pretty much gonna say the same thing, man. As long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot, they should win this game, no problem. To be honest with you, because like we talked about this, man, they're the better team. So as long as they don't shoot themselves in the foot, then your coaching staff doesn't really mess them up. You talk about your defensive coordinator. Yeah, it should be a win.
All right, player of the game and score predictions to wrap up tonight's show. Malcolm, what's your gut feeling right now on how Sunday plays out?
Oh, player of the game. So the score, I do have it 24-17 Philadelphia.
Okay.
I will go for player of the game, Jalen Hurts.
What about you, Rob?
I'm going to go 27-20 Philly. I think the Eagles pulled out 27-20. You got to go player of the game. I think Jalen Hurts is a good choice, but I'll change it up. And I'm going to say Devontae Smith is going to thrive on getting the second corner instead of the team's number 1 corner. And I think that Devontae Smith has a big day.
Yeah. I'm going 24-20. I think this is going to be closer than people want to believe it. A lot of people are saying, like, Eagles are going to win by, like, 2+ scores. That very well might happen. But, again, This is week 1. I expect the Eagles to come out a little sluggish. I expect the Eagles, especially in the trenches, to come out with the W and kind of win this game in that second half. My player of the game is Dallas Goedert. I'm going Dallas Goedert. This guy ranks 6th among all players in receiving yards per route run after the Zach Ertz trade. You look at, again, that gravity that A.J. Brown has on the outside in that middle area of the field. It's going to leave Dallas Goedert wide open. It's going to have a huge impact on Goddard this season. And that was one of the things that Hurts struggled the most last year, was working that middle intermediate area of the field. And if Jalen Hurts can come out week 1 and have that chemistry with Dallas Goedert, in that middle area of the field with some efficiency, I would be really happy. So I'm going Dallas Goedert as my player of the game. So that pretty much wraps up tonight's show. Again, thank you everyone for watching. Malcolm, one more time, man, where can we find you? Tell us a little bit about the Pride Podcast.
Okay, so yeah, you can find me if you want to follow my personal page on Twitter. It's Mr. Hart __. Also the Pride Podcast, which is just Pride Podcast. And yeah, man, that's about it, man. Just mainly on Twitter, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining, Malcolm. That was awesome. Rob, anything you want to plug?
Go Birds. I'll be on the post-game show on Sunday after the game. Outside of that, catch me on Party on Broad next week as well as we prepare for week 2, hopefully with a 1-0 football team.
Love it, man. Our Eagles coverage is absolutely loaded this year. We have pregame shows starting at 11, halftime shows at halftime, of course, and then postgame shows right when the clock hits 0. So tons and tons of content. Us and Edge of Philly Sports are collaborating and are going to be just doing so much Eagles content on game day. So it's going to be great, man. Just once more, thank you so much, Malcolm, for joining, man. Good luck to the Detroit Lions. It's going to be a blast. Thank you everyone for watching. For Rob, he is at Philly_Manis, and Malcolm, one more time, that is what is at Pride Podcast, correct?
Yeah, at Pride Podcast, and for me personally, just Mr. Hart and __. So those the 2 underlines, and you'll find me.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for watching, guys. For Rob, for Malcolm, for myself, stay awesome.